Have you ever felt like life is an endless uphill climb? You give your all, you stay busy, you work hard, but the satisfaction never seems to last. Tomorrow comes and the climb feels just as steep, maybe even heavier. Somehow we forget how to slow down, how to notice the little things, how to find joy in simplicity. But there's another way to live, one that doesn't depend on perfection, speed, or validation. It comes from a culture that has always valued balance, awareness, and quiet strengths. Japan. Japanese philosophy doesn't offer instant solutions or quick fixes. It offers perspective, a way to approach life with patience, reflection, and purpose. Hi, welcome back to my kimono upcycling channel. I'm a Japanese small business owner based in the UK. This week, I'm fulfilling a customer order and preparing for the launch of new product made from premium Japanese cotton that I personally sourced on my last trip to Japan. As I work on every step, from washing the fabrics, crafting each piece, to the final packaging, I want to share 5 powerful philosophies that have transformed how I run my business and live my life. Kaizen, Shokunin Waza, Ichigo Ichie, Wabi-sabi, and Ikigai. These aren't just abstract ideas. They're practical ways to grow, to be present, and to master your craft and your life. Whether you want to improve step by step, embrace the beauty of imperfection, or take responsibility for your own path, these philosophies offer timeless guidance. So let's dive in and explore how you can apply them, not just to your business or projects, but to your life, starting today. There's a Japanese philosophy that flips the idea of success on its head. It suggests that greatness isn't found in explosive effort, but in slow, steady progress. If you improve by just a tiny amount, something so small it seems invisible, you can transform your entire life. This philosophy is Kaizen. It literally means change for the better. But Kaizen is more than a method. It's a mindset, a quiet revolution, a way of approaching life that doesn't rely on motivation, force, or speed, but on consistency, simplicity, and awareness. This approach helped rebuild post-war Japan. It turned struggling companies like Toyota into global giants. Olympic coaches, artists, entrepreneurs, and philosophers have all applied it. Not because it's flashy, but because it works. Kaizen doesn't promise instant results. It promises lasting change. Kaizen is about what happens when no one is watching. When you decide to do one push-up instead of none. When you read one page. When you replace one negative thought. When you sit for one extra minute in silence. These tiny acts, repeated over time, don't just add up. They multiply. They shape your identity, tuning into someone who shows up even when it's not exciting. That's the true power of Kaizen. It turns personal development from a sprint into a ritual, from a burden into a rhythm. It doesn't care if you're motivated or perfect. It only asks, can you improve this moment by just 1%? For me, practicing Kaizen in my kimono upcycling business naturally overlaps with Shokunin Waza, the spirit of the craftsmanship. Each kimono I handle is approached with care, humility, and reverence. Every stitch, fold, and adjustment is not just functional. It's a practice of mastery. Like a shokunin, I strive to refine my skills continuously, seeking small improvements not for recognition but out of respect for the craft itself. Kaizen becomes embodied in the very act of making slow, deliberate, and intentional. At the same time, Ichigo Ichie, the principle of fully inhabiting each moment, guides how I show up for my work. Every time I wash fabrics, prepare materials, post a new product online, or set up a market display, I immerse myself completely. Each interaction, each creation is unique, a once in a lifetime moment. By focusing on the now, I ensure that every action carries intention and care. And even repetitive tasks like trimming fabric scraps or rearranging the display become exercises in mindfulness. Kaizen has three core principles. First, continuous improvement, never settling, always curious, always open to small, meaningful change. Second, everyone is responsive. Improvement isn't reserved for experts. You can start today in your life, no permission required. Third, no action is too small. Small steps aren't just acceptable. They're essential. They're sustainable and compound over time, building momentum toward real transformation. For me, that means experimenting with small batches, seeking feedback from my Instagram followers, analyzing viewer responses on YouTube, and adjusting even tiny details to better serve my audience, all while honoring the craft and the moment. Think of habits like bamboo. When you plant a bamboo seed, nothing happens for years. It's building a massive root system underground. Then suddenly, it shoots up 90 feet in 6 weeks. Growth was happening all along. You just couldn't see it. Your habits work the same way. Tiny, consistent efforts build the foundation for exponential results. My Instagram started with fewer than 10 followers, mostly friends and family, and YouTube initially had almost no viewers. But through small, steady improvements, analyzing other handmade accounts, and continuously refining my craft, both platforms now show the fruits of persistence and presence. This is Kaizen, brought to life through Shokunin Waza and Ichigo Ichie, mastering the craft and fully inhabiting each step of the journey. Kaizen isn't about rushing or burning out. It's about taking one small action. Today, then another tomorrow, and another the day after. Over time, those steps add up, quietly, steadily, invisibly, but powerfully. The key is to trust the process, start small, stay consistent, let the momentum grow, and honor both the craft and the moment. These philosophies, Kaizen, Shokunin Waza, and Ichigo Ichie, have completely changed the way I work. They taught me that improvement doesn't mean doing more. It means doing better. Better in process, better in focus, better in presence. I experiment with small batches, gather feedback, and adjust designs. I observe how visitors react to my market setup, how my videos resonate, and tweak even the tiniest detail to better connect with people. The goal is never perfection. It's harmony between craft, self, and the world around me. To understand the philosophy of walking alone, you must first understand the man who embodied it completely, Miyamoto Musashi. He wasn't a myth, though his life often reads like one. He wasn't merely a swordsman, though his blade became legend. Musashi was a real human being, flesh, blood, doubt, and decision, who lived in Japan over 400 years ago. And yet, the way he lived continues to speak to people seeking purpose, freedom, and mastery today. Musashi was born in 1584 during the Sengoku period, a time of chaos, civil war, and shifting allegiances in Japan. It was an age of warriors, and the path of the samurai was one of the few ways to rise above your birth. The Musashi was not born into luxury or safety. His mother likely died when he was young, and his father, himself a swordman, may have either abandoned him or died early. Much of Musashi's early life is shrouded in mystery, but one thing is clear: from a young age, he stood alone. At just 13 years old, Musashi fought his first duel. Imagine that a child, barely a teenager, standing across from a grown samurai, armed with real weapons. Real stakes, no padding, no points, no referees, just life and death. And Musashi won, not by following a polished style or obeying a formal code, but by relying on instinct, intelligence, and pure will. This early victory was not the end of something, it was the beginning. Over the next few decades, Musashi would go on to fight more than 60 duels, and he never lost. Some of his opponents were among the most skilled and respected swordmen in Japan. But Musashi victories didn't come from brute force alone. They came from an approach that was utterly his own. He refused to be predictable. He fought with both hands, sometimes with two swords at once. He would arrive early or late. He would use wooden swords instead of steel. He didn't play the rules. He understood them and then transcended them. What's remarkable isn't just that Musashi won. It's how he chose to live. Despite his fame, he consistently rejected the life of prestige that could have easily been his. In that era, a skilled warrior could secure a place under a powerful lord, earning wealth, servants, lord, and status. Musashi was offered these things. He could have lived in comfort, celebrated as a master, but he turned it all down, again and again. He walked away from power and chose the path of solitude. He lived like a hermit, sometimes in caves, sometimes in small huts, seeking not pleasure, but purity, not applause, but clarity. Musashi evolves from a duelist into philosopher. He understood that the sword was just one expression of something deeper. It wasn't about killing, it was about mastering the self. Every duel, every choice to withdraw from society, every moment of silence was part of something greater. a lifelong pursuit of inner stillness and unshakable presence. And this brings me to another philosophy that deeply inspired me, the path of the Ronin. A Ronin is a samurai without a master. On the surface, it sounds lonely, but the truth is, a true Ronin is not aimless. He is self-guided, purposeful, and disciplined, walking his own path with clarity and conviction. For me, running this kimono business often feels like that. I don't have a big team, investors, or a formula to follow. I'm guided by intuition, purpose, and the quiet drive to keep refining what I do. Musashi, the most famous Ronin, lived by this principle. He didn't seek titles, comfort, or validation. He mastered not just the sword, but himself, his mind, body, and spirit. Like him, I've learned that freedom in creation means taking responsibility for my own path. When I started, no one was watching my videos. There were moments of silence, moments that felt invisible. But that solitude became my strength. It allowed me to focus, to experiment, to listen deeply to what my craft and my audience were teaching me. In many ways, Musashi's philosophy mirrors the Shokunin spirit, the devotion to constant refinement. Every duel for Musashi wasn't just about winning. It was about discovering truth through action. Every piece I create works the same way. It's an exercise in patience and awareness, not perfection. His later teachings, the Book of Five Rings, talk about adaptability like water, groundedness like earth, and presence like fire, concepts that I now see reflected in my own process. Each collection, each design flows from that same balance of grounded skill and fluid creativity. And like Ichigo Ichie, Musashi understood the depth of a single moment. In his solitude, he found focus so complete that every movement, every breath became art. That's something I try to bring into my work. Whether I'm cutting fabric, wrapping a puzzle, or filming a scene, it's not about rushing to the end. It's about being fully there. Musashi's life reminds me that solitude isn't isolation, it's clarity. It's where mastery begins. You stop comparing, you stop chasing, and you start listening to your own rhythm. Just like him, I've realized that walking your own path can feel uncomfortable, but it's where real growth happens. Every small improvement, every quiet moment of dedication, every invisible step forward is a part of becoming who you're meant to be. So when I'm working late at night, surrounded by fabrics, sewing tools, and the hum of my own thoughts, I think about that. Kaizen, the steady change for the better. Shokunin Waza, the reverence for the craft. Ichigo Ichie, the beauty of this one moment. These philosophies guide how I create, how I grow, and how I live. Slowly, quietly, intentionally. One stitch, one video, one small improvement at a time. When I began upcycling kimono, I didn't know I was walking straight into the heart of wabi-sabi. Each fabric I touch has lived a life before mine, softened by time, shaped by hands, worn through seasons of joy and farewell. The edges were frayed, the colors slightly faded, the seams uneven from years of movement. But that's where the beauty lives. Wabi-sabi teaches that imperfection isn't something to hide. It's something to honor. The crack, the fade, the tear, these are stories. They remind us that life is transient, that beauty isn't something fixed, but something that happens and keeps changing. When I watch old kimono fabric, I often imagine the woman who once wore it. Maybe a festival or a quiet walk under cherry blossoms. The wrinkles that form as I hang it to dry and like memory lines on a face. I press them gently, not to erase them, but to help them breathe again. That's wabi-sabi to me, finding peace in the quiet marks left to time. In a world that consistently demands perfection, wabi-sabi gives me permission to slow down, to breathe, to create without rushing toward flawlessness. When I sew, I leave space for the fabric to move, for the thread to wander slightly, because perfection can feel lifeless, but imperfection feels alive. Every uneven stitch carries a bit of my heartbeat, my focus, my mood in that moment. And maybe that's what makes handmade pieces so deeply human. They're never exactly the same, just like people. Even the way I share my work reflects this. Sometimes my video lighting isn't perfect, or a background sound sneaks in. But I've learned to embrace it. Those moments feel more honest. They capture the real texture of my process. The slight wobble of the camera, the rustle of fabric, the way sunlight falls unevenly across my table. It's all part of the rhythm. Wabi-sabi also lives in how I design. I often combine contrasting pieces, a bold modern fabric beside a delicate vintage silk, not to make them match, but to let them speak to each other. The harmony comes not from perfection, but from acceptance. It's like the philosophy of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. The cracks don't hide the break, they highlight it. In my own way, I do that with fabric. I mend what's worn and turn it into something that carries its past proudly. Through this process, I've come to see that wabi-sabi isn't just an aesthetic. It's a way of seeing life. It teaches resilience, patience, and humility. It reminds me that nothing lasts forever, but everything for a while can be deeply beautiful. And woven through this, quietly guiding me, is Ikigai, my reason for being. At first, I didn't think of it that way. I just wanted to make things with my hands, to honor old fabrics and create something meaningful. But the more I worked, the more I realized this is what keeps me alive in the truest sense. Ikigai sits where passion meets purpose. It's where what I love, what I'm good at, what the world needs me, and what sustains me all meet. For me, that means creating with intention, connecting culture with modern life, and inviting people to slow down and see the quiet beauty in handmade things. When I upcycle kimono, I'm not just making clothes, I'm bringing generations, giving something old a new rhythm. I'm telling a story that began long before me, and I'm adding my verse to it. And when someone chooses one of my pieces, I hope they feel that. Not just the design, but the care, the quiet energy, the philosophy stitched into every seam. There were times I doubted this path, especially in the beginning, when my Instagram had fewer than 10 followers, just my friends and family. When I posted and nobody watched or received hate comments. When I filmed videos that took hours and they sat in silence. But looking back now, I realize that was part of my Ikigai too. Those quiet days taught me patience, discipline, and self-belief. I learned to create not for applause, but for alignment. My Ikigai isn't measured in likes or sales. It's in the feeling I get when I finish sewing late at night, surrounded by fabric scraps and soft light, and I know I've made something honest. It's in the moment when a customer tells me they can feel the story behind their piece. It's in the process, not the outcome. Together, Wabi-sabi and Ikigai have taught me that imperfection and purpose are not opposites. They are partners. One reminds me to accept things as they are. The other gives me a reason to keep creating. Wabi-sabi whispers, "This is enough." Ikigai answers, "And still keep going." So when I sit at my sewing table, when I pack an order, I remind myself, this is it. This moment, this task, this breath, it will never come again. And that makes it precious. The fabric may fray, the thread may break, the journey may feel uncertain, but if I'm living true to my craft, my values, and my purpose, then every imperfect moment is already complete. So, how do you begin to build your own code? For me, it started the same way I begin a new design, with a blank page and a quiet moment. Before any fabric is cut or thread is chosen, I ask myself, what do I stand for? What kind of values do I want to be stitched into my work? Take a moment to do the same. Sit down with a blank page, something real you can hold, not a screen, and write that question at the top. Don't write what sounds good, write what's true. Maybe your code is simple. Show up every day, even when it's not exciting. Create with honesty, not for approval. Treat time like your most precious materials. Start small, just a few lines, and then leave them. Living by a code doesn't make you rigid. It makes you grounded. When life gets chaotic or the business feels uncertain, your code becomes your compass. It reminds you why you started. When I'm rushing to finish an order or comparing my progress online, I return to my principles. Slow down. Respect the craft. Stay intentional. Your code keeps you anchored when trends shift or validation fades. It may cost you quick wins or shortcuts, but the reward is far deeper. The ability to look at your work and say, "This is truly mine." That's the modern running path. Not walking alone, but walking honestly. No master, no shortcuts, just discipline and purpose. It's easy to drift in today's world, to chase what's popular, to mold yourself to expectations. But when you live by your own code, the noise fades. You no longer need to explain your choices. Your work speaks for you. Musashi's code wasn't for applause. It was a quiet practice, refined through solitude and intention. You don't need a sword or a cave to follow that spirit. You just need to decide that your craft, your growth, and your peace are worth protecting. Start now, before the world decides for you what success should look like. Being independent doesn't mean being unprepared. Like Musashi, walking your path means cultivating readiness, mental, emotional, and creative. Aroning meets changes with stillness and clarity. Musashi called this mushin, no mind. It's not emptiness, but freedom from clutter. No fear, no hesitation, no ego. In my studio, that's what I aim for. Presence under pressure. Whether sewing late into the night or preparing for a market, I try to move with calm focus, to act intuitively without distraction. Machine turns chaos into flow. We may not fight duels, but we face our own battles, deadlines, algorithms, uncertainty. Most people freeze under pressure, but our Ronin remains present. That's the power of machine. It's what helps you keep creating when everything feels overwhelming. When I face creative blocks or slow sales, I remind myself, breathe, observe, act with intention. Every challenge becomes training. How I respond to stress, feedback, or setbacks sharpens not just my craft, but my mind. To live like a modern Ronin, train your mind the way you train your hands. Practice stillness through slow routines, mindful breathing, reflection. Simplify your space and your schedules so your focus stays sharp. Learn how to discomfort instead of avoiding it. Keep a journal, read deeply, and protect your attention from constant noise. These habits build the same strengths that Musashi cultivated. A mind that's calm, resilient, and free. True mastery isn't about how much you do. It's about how deeply you live your values through every action. A modern creator walks with intention, not imitation. It's easy to be swayed by trends or social approval. But freedom comes from living in alignment with your own rhythm. Whether in business or art, the goal isn't to be the loudest, it's to be the truest. So keep simplifying, keep questioning, keep creating with honesty. The more you align your actions with your own code, the lighter the path becomes. Real success isn't about possessions or followers. It's about peace with the life you're building. At the end of his life, Musashi retreated into solitude, not to escape, but to refine. He left behind wisdom, not trophies. His life reminds us that fulfillment comes not from applause, but from clarity, discipline, and purpose. When I finish a project alone in my sewing room, surrounded by fabrics and quiet, I think of that. Walking alone doesn't mean being lost. It means being in tune. Every stitch, every decision is a step toward self-mastery. The Ronin path isn't about isolation. It's about ownership, about building a life from the inside out, one choice at a time. And through it all, Wabi-sabi ties everything together. The acceptance of imperfection, the peace within impermanence. Every fabric I work with has a story. Frayed edges, faded dyes, tiny marks of time. Instead of hiding them, I highlight them. Because they're real, they hold memory and character. That's what Wabi-sabi teaches us. To see beauty not in what's flawless, but in what's alive. When we embrace imperfection in our craft and in ourselves, we stop chasing perfection and start creating with freedom. In the end, all these philosophies, Kaizen, Shokunin Waza, Ichigo Ichie, Wabi-sabi, and Ikigai, are not just lessons from Japan's past. They are living, breathing practices that guide how I create today. Kaizen reminds me to keep improving, one small step at a time. Shokunin Waza keeps me grounded in craftsmanship, reminding me that mastery is found in devotion to the smallest details. Ichigo Ichie teaches me to be fully present in each moment, each order, each customer, each conversation. Wabi-sabi reminds me to embrace imperfection, to see the quiet beauty in things that time has shaped. Finally, Ikigai, my reason for being, connects all of it together. It's why I do what I do, why I keep creating, and why I continue sharing this journey with you. I hope these philosophies inspire you to see your own life and work a little differently, to slow down, to find meaning in the small things, and to keep walking your path, one intention step at a time. If you'd like to read more or reflect on these ideas, I've written a full article about today's topic on my website. You can also download a free printable PDF version, a small reminder you can keep on your desk to pause, breathe, and come back to your purpose whenever you need it. I've linked it in the comment section below, so go ahead and check it out. And if today's video inspired you to create something similar to the pieces I made, I have full tutorial videos waiting for you. They're also linked in the comments. I'm constantly updating my creative journey, aligning, refining, and sharing new inspirations through my work. So if you like to keep growing with me, stay inspired, and follow the rhythm of slow, intentional creation, make sure to subscribe to my channel. It's a beautiful space where we explore craftsmanship, philosophy, and purpose, one mindful video at a time. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'll see you again in my next project. またね。